Hey everybody, how y'all doing today? Well, it's Carpo, and I decided that I just wanted to share with my subscribers my unveiling of a few new herbs that I just picked up. I am planning on experimenting with some of these for my a product line that I'm going to be coming up with. This is my little package, and you know, when you get a package in the mail, it's so exciting. And when you're buying herbs like this, you can spend a fortune and hardly get anything. But what we have today is we've got our Mitrogyna speciosa sticker. Love Kratom. This is some canna. This is Scalatium tortuosum. And now I'm not going to sit here and explain what these herbs are. You can do your own research. Canna, a lot of people have had no effect. Some people have had a synergistic effect using it with other herbs, which is what I'm planning on doing with it. And the thing is that I trust this vendor. I've been buying from Ethan for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, I guess, and he's always had consistent product. Now, I've had a lot of people ask me, where do you get your herbs? And I always say the same thing, I can't. I can give you, herb research is where I buy a lot of my stuff, where I buy my personal Kratom, things like that. The owner's name is Ethan, but he's not taking any new customers at the moment. But I emailed him the other day and he said he can get on a list of people, but he wants to keep it intimate, which is important. So the canna is going to be used for a totally separate product. Today we also have Mucuna pruriens. And this is what I've been telling people about. This is 25% L-Dopa, which is a precursor to dopamine, and it's a bean. It comes in a pod. It's called velvet bean, or I think cow bean or cow tongue. The cows would lick it and it would irritate their tongues. And of course, I have my favorite. This is my Kratom. This is Sundanese Superior. You cannot buy this from any other Kratom vendor that I know of. I've looked everywhere for it. Ethan is the only person that really carries it, and he wrote a little article in his on his page in the Sundanese section about this product and how people have approached him and even claimed that they're selling him that they claim that they sell him the product when they don't even have the real product. This guy's for real. The Meng Da that Ethan sells is real Meng Da. Okay, it's not the crap that's disguised as Meng Da. And 6 years ago when I started taking Kratom, you could get what you were looking for. These days, you know, people will sell whatever they want. So let's see, and they label it as Meng Da. Sundanese, on the other hand, has a much more sedating effect. I should say it's stimulating, but it's very euphoric. It has a very strong body component to it. So the combination of mitrogynine with mucuna, or maybe the L-Dopa itself, seems to have a synergistic effect, and this is what I'm working on. Another thing that I picked up was a gram of saffron, high quality saffron. Smells phenomenal. I've been experimenting with smoking this and adding it to tinctures and various products, and my belief is that saffron is a very expensive herb, thousands of dollars per kilo, or it was at one time and probably still is. They're individually harvested pistils, so from the flower. So you know, there's only one way to do it, and that's really by hand. It's used for a dye, but it's also been used as medicine. I'm in the experimental stage of finding out which medicines work for me. And I can't sit and tell you this is what will work for your body type or your needs or your brain chemistry. But I'm hoping to find that like-minded people can benefit from some of the things that I've learned over my years, what to use, what not to use. My final ingredient that I bought here was guarana, Paulina copana. I haven't really studied the Latin names of this stuff. About 100 grams of this. Now guarana is, well, you can study up on it. It has a high caffeine content. Everybody's heard of it now because it's in, you know, Red Bull and all these different drinks. has a very nice subtle smell. Now my plan is to use some of these samples of this high quality product to mix with and put into capsules, and to do a little experimentation to see what really works. And it's going to take a little time, but you know, over the years, I've just grown a strong reverence to herbs, and the wonderful thing about this is that all of these are in their pure, natural, raw form, and that to me is the most important component when we're talking about the synergy of herbs, or even the effect of the herb itself and the different components of the herbs. When you start to break it down and remove and isolate components, you lose out on the beneficial qualities of the entire plant, what they call the entourage effect. And we found this most clearly in cannabis, because I'm also working on a line of CBD cannabis that I'm going to make a tincture out of and use this CBD in conjunction with some of these other herbs. But isolating CBD by itself, or THC by itself, hasn't worked. CBD does work for certain conditions. THC does work for certain conditions. But when they tried to make synthetic THC, such as Marinol, the beneficial effects and feelings from the cannabis was lost. And this is why it's so pronounced, because the cannabis industry and the people who smoke it, there are so many of us, that we've been able to notice the subtle differences in the cannabis effects from each strain, as well as each batch from each strain. And remembering this in the world of herbs is very important, I think, because you can go on Amazon and buy any type of herb you want. You can go buy Kratom from any old vendor anywhere. I've shopped around and bought from dozens of people, and there are only a small handful of people that I actually trust to buy my product from. And unfortunately, some of them don't either aren't in business anymore or don't sell to the general public. Just be wary of who you're buying from and ask around. I think one of the key components is people you trust. And I trust certain people in the business, and I'm hoping to build a line of trust when I start my business as well. And this means spending a little bit more. This means putting a little more love into what you're buying. Because remember, when you're removing more of the active ingredient, you're paying less for a product, let's say, that's less potent. What that means is that the inactive ingredients have replaced that active ingredient, that there are more fillers, or I should say more natural variations in the herb's strength. And it makes it difficult for you to know what you're getting from any one vendor even. You can go from batch to batch with herbs, and it makes it hard to know what you're getting. And, you know, Ethan, I buy from him. I know I trust him because he tests all of his stuff. And I think that's really important. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and experiment with some of these herbs, and I'm going to get back on my results. And once I find the right combination, you know, I'll let people know, because I've noticed that there's, you know, there are a lot of folks with a lot of different individual experiments out there, and they're all sharing their experiences and ideas. And I think we need more of that, because, well, we're learning quickly. And one thing I was pointing out earlier to, you know, my wife and I were talking about this, and I said, you know, in the past we'd have either TCM or traditional Chinese medicine, or you could have the Ayurvedic medicine from, you know, from India, or many other different types of small localized medicines that people had, or working with the qi, the energy force, these various things. But with traditional Chinese medicine, let's say you're using all different kinds of herbs. With Ayurvedic medicine, you're also working with different herbs, but the herbs are localized to the communities. What's happened now is that we have the internet at our fingertips, and we have the availability to get a bean from South America, and a cactus from Mexico, and a small leaf pod from Africa, and a small, you know, a specific oil from Australia, and combine these things and become modern-day alchemists of nature. It's just sitting there waiting for us. And I've realized, because as I got into herbs, I thought, well, people have probably experimented with everything. And I was fascinated by the Native Americans and the amount of lore that we had behind our plants. And I thought, how could a person ever know all these herbs and medicines? But now that I've gotten older and I understand the plants a little better, I realize it's not overwhelming. The plants have smells, profiles, odors that tell us what they have and what they are, and now we can do testing to confirm this. And this allows us to make strong natural medicines that are much more balanced in their bioavailability, and the synergy between the plants can be immense, as people will see as they start taking combinations of herbs. Some of them can be quite intense and almost addictive to some people because the pleasurability of it, the feeling can be like, wow, this is how people can feel. But eventually you learn there's a balance, and you can't just take large amounts of herbs every day. You find one that works for you, and there's a line between food and drugs that's very difficult to know, like tryptophan in turkey, which that's why you get tired after you eat turkey. Various precursors and amines and inhibitors in these foods that do things that we're not quite sure about yet, and we're very young. My point being that since society is young in this still, we still have a chance to experiment. Don't be afraid to grab a couple herbs and do a little experiment. Be careful with MAOIs. That's something I don't use in my combinations because there may be enough of a natural MAO inhibitor in some of the foods to use, but I won't mix, say, harmala seeds or anything in, because anything that can be dangerous I find to be something that should be avoided. Anything that can be taken in too large or in small doses and be very dangerous should be avoided. And one last thought is heavy metals. Many of the products on the market today are grown in very crappy areas with very, very crappy rules, and the product that comes out is full of arsenic and heavy metals and toxic, above the toxic allowed levels, and many of these aren't sold as supplements. They're sold as research, herbs or whatnot, and they get around it, or it's not tested at all. So know what you're consuming is what I'm saying. It's in all of our foods, so you can't really know. But if you buy from a trusted vendor and try to be straight up about it, don't try to get something for nothing. You can buy a kilo of good Kratom for $300. You could also get a kilo of Kratom for $100. If you're buying it just a kilo at a time for that price, you have to ask yourself why. And it comes down to the old "you get what you pay for" thing. So be aware of what you're buying is what I'm saying. So I wish y'all luck, and to all my herbalist friends, awesome. Tell me what you've learned and what experiences have you had. And anyone who's played around with the guarana, especially, or the canna, too, I'm very curious about. I have played in the past, but I think that the combination I have in mind is going to be much more efficient. And I'm really excited to go try these. So I'm going to go